Morning guys, so I've had something happen recently that I'm really happy about. I don't know if many people have been following along on TikTok because I don't talk about it that much, but I do occasionally update on stories on TikTok and Instagram. I've been having really bad problems with my digestion and it's been really affecting my life and really making me feel like shit, to be honest. And I've tried lots of different things, like I've been to a naturopath, which is a certain type of doctor. I've been to my GP, like a regular doctor. I've done a lot of my own research. I knew quite a lot about the gut anyway, and I was putting so much effort into my gut microbiome, like by doing lots of things that I'll talk about later on, that it was making me feel really quite hopeless that I couldn't help myself and I was still having these flare-ups. And I've recently figured out what was wrong, and the difference now that I know what was wrong is like night and day. And this isn't going to help everybody, because if you have gut problems, you know that there's so many different reasons why people have gut problems, and they kind of all have similar symptoms. They don't have all the same symptoms, but they kind of have similar symptoms. So it unfortunately won't be able to help everyone, but it might be able to help a few people. And if it does, and you can experience the relief that I felt, like how amazing that could be, how amazing that would be. So I'm just going to get started, and I'm actually going to visit my friend Ellie, who is one of my best childhood friends. She's just bought a house, she's living with her girlfriend and their dog, and I'm going to go see it today. So I'm going to get ready like throughout the video, but I'm going to keep the pace so that it's just interesting information and not too like long and boring. So I will put some pictures on the screen of what was happening to me, but essentially I was just getting really bloated, like episodes, flare-ups of bloating that lasted sometimes like 10 days. And not only was I bloated and like my stomach was like distended, but I felt like mentally unwell as well. I felt unwell and like mentally unhappy as well, because obviously a lot of your happy hormones are made in your gut. So when your gut's not happy, your mood is like scientifically affected. It's not just like, oh, I don't feel well because of my gut. It's like my hormones and my gut are not functioning properly, so my mood is dysregulated as well. And what it meant for me was like, I was someone who, I've always been a gym girl. I'm nearly 29. I've been going to the gym since I was like 60. So for me to not be able to go to the gym because of these flare-ups was really getting me down, because exercise makes you feel good. I'm someone who, when it came to COVID and I couldn't exercise in the gym, it really affected my mood, because it's just something that I've always done. I also know that not exercising is unhealthy, and I like to live a healthy lifestyle, and I also want to get good sleep, and exercise contributes to a lot of those things. I'm really hot, I might just take this robe off. Okay, the main reason I was wearing that is because I think I've got food in my pajamas and something happened with my fake tan. It's now on my neck. Don't really know how that happened, but it's happened, so we'll have to try and fix that later. I lead a healthy lifestyle and put a lot of effort into eating mostly unprocessed foods, and I have done for basically the whole of my adult life. So when this started happening, I just felt really helpless, because I just felt like I don't really drink much alcohol, like I've never had IBS, like where are all these symptoms coming from? And they started maybe a couple of years ago, but especially I would say middle of last June, it was particularly bad. I thought it was because of the antibiotics that I took for my perioral dermatitis, but I now wonder if maybe that just sort of like slightly worsened the symptoms I was already having, or was maybe just a coincidence, because I've had antibiotics before, and of course they're not good for your microbiome, but I've never felt like extreme consequences afterwards, although I am aware that they sometimes have extreme consequences. So about last June, I would say, is when it started to get really bad. I was in a job, I just started a job in March after being at my last company for 6 years, and I didn't like this job. I didn't hate it, but me and the boss weren't getting along. Like I just didn't, you know how it is, like it just, you know, when you're working somewhere and it's just not for you, and you just know it's not for you. But I just started and I kind of didn't want it to be true. Like I kind of wanted it to suddenly like work out and to me really like it, like I did my last job. I think my gut knew that it was just not right. So I was quite stressed. I felt like I was being told what to do a lot, which is fine if we're working together, but if you're just telling me what to do, I don't like that. never really tolerated that well in my life. Just think it's shitty. All of these symptoms started getting really bad last June, and I had a couple of weddings to go to, and I was drinking at the weddings even though I'm not a big drinker, and it was just triggering like my stomach being huge. Like I couldn't, when I was at the wedding, I was like talking to people and I just didn't want to be there. Like I was just talking to people and thinking like, how can I make time go quicker? And I liked the people, but I just felt so uncomfortable that I just wanted to go back to the room. And sometimes I did just go back to the room, and my boyfriend would say to me like, oh, people were asking where you were. And I was like, I'm sorry, as you know, my stomach's just flaring up all the time. My stomach just sticking out so far, and it would last like minimum of like 4 or 5 days, maximum of like 10 to 12 days. And if you imagine that happened like every 3 or 4 weeks, every time I was going to the gym and getting on a roll again, back would come another flare up and I'd be like bedbound. So it was just really affecting the way that I lived my life. So the simple symptoms pretty much were just flare-ups of really painful bloating that made me feel very brain foggy. Couldn't go to the gym even if I wanted to. Sometimes walking was uncomfortable. Towards the end of it, I started burping a lot, which I'm not a big burper, so like burping a lot was very weird. It always happened like, I noticed some of my triggers, so I guess I'll talk about triggers now, but my triggers were definitely alcohol. And like I said, I'm not a big drinker, and I never really have been because I can't handle it at all. Like I will just I black out very easily. So the older you get, I think the more uneasy blacking out starts to make you feel. So yeah, I'm not a big drinker, but I do like a glass or two, like with a nice meal. But even that, I noticed I would go for a nice meal on a Saturday, have a drink, and then maybe the next morning or the following day in the evening, my stomach would just be like sticking out here, and I just feel really slow. And like if I had a meeting, I had to really think about what I was saying to people because I just couldn't process what I just wasn't functioning well. So alcohol was definitely a trigger. I started to notice, these are the couple of things that when I look back, it was really obvious, but it took me a really long time to figure it out. I don't drink coffee, by the way. So I drink decaf, I don't drink caffeine. I haven't in maybe 2 years, year and a half. So I was drinking decaf sometimes, literally not even every day, maybe like once a week. Oftentimes I would not drink it at all. I also noticed things like orange juice, alcohol, orange juice, decaf coffee, and what I didn't realise at the time, but like lemon, lime, apple cider vinegar. I was having those things because when you Google digestive problems, they recommend those things. And like fermented foods like pickles and sauerkraut and stuff, they're all recommended for digestion. And I was eating a lot of them because they're good for your microbiome. Looking back, I won't tell you what it is exactly now, and I will obviously soon, but if you group all those foods together, sorry, I live on a main road. Boys. I don't know if you can figure out what those foods have in common, but looking back, it was really obvious to me now, but it took me ages to figure it out. So I started working with a naturopath. I just feel like I've been let down a lot. I'm supposed to be getting ready in this video. When will I start doing that? Soon. I went to see a naturopath because I have been let down a lot by typical, regular Western medicine, whatever you want to call it. I just felt like they wouldn't be able to help me. I don't feel like Western medicine understands the gut particularly well. I started working with a naturopath. It was going well for a while. She told me to abstain from alcohol, which I was already doing. So I did that, and of course from doing that I felt better, but to me that's not an answer. Like, just don't drink alcohol. That isn't an answer for me, because there's something wrong if I can't drink a glass of alcohol and not be bedbound for a week. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something wrong there, and I don't want to be about that type of solution. I want to be about what's the actual problem. I just felt like it was costing me a lot of money to work with her. I probably spent like £1,000 on it in total, maybe a little bit more. And I'm just not sure we were really getting anywhere. And then there were a couple of instances where she didn't reply to me for like 10 days when I was having a really awful flare up. And then she'd come back and be like, oh, I've just been thinking about what you said. I'm really sorry that you feel that way. And I was like, it's been 10 days. Like, don't act like you've been thinking about it. It's been 10 days. You could have just said like, hey, I'm really sorry, I'm really busy, I'll get back to you soon, but you just left me hanging for 10 days. Or the other thing that she did was prescribe me probiotics and then forgot that she prescribed me probiotics. So I had a probiotic on a given day, and then The next day I had a massive flare up and I emailed her saying I've just had one of these probiotics, which were £50, by the way, expensive probiotic I've ever bought, and I bought a lot. She was like, why are you taking probiotics? Like, why are you self-medicating? And I was just like, look at the email chain. You told me to buy them 2 days ago and you didn't even look at the email chain to like check what you'd said to me. You clearly haven't written it down anywhere. You don't have like, I was thinking you might have an Excel spreadsheet to remember like what you've given to people, but you've literally just asked me if I'm self-medicating when I've just bought the £50 probiotics that you asked me to get. Anyway, so after that I was like, I don't want to work with you anymore. Said it politely, but there was too many like little unprofessional things, and I was just thinking, I don't think you really care about me, or I feel like you don't know what to do with me. Then I went back to the actual doctor and they did some tests on me. Said my liver was coming back a bit wonky, my liver results, but then I did the same test again and there was nothing wrong. I've done a celiac test, I'm not celiac. I've never had a problem with gluten in my life, even though I don't eat it. I also don't eat dairy, but I'm not intolerant. I just don't eat it the majority of the time. Liver profile was dodgy at first, then it came back and it was fine. Don't know how I feel about that. They told me I've had hepatitis B in the past and they were like, it's not really a big deal. And I was like, okay, okay. This is why I don't speak much to like Western medicine doctors, because I just feel like so, always feel so like rushed out the door and just like told to shut up basically, because they literally said you've just had hepatitis B, but it's not a big deal. And I was like, right, okay. I mean, if anyone has any insight as to why that's not a big deal, feel free to comment below and let me know. But as far as I know, it's quite uncommon to come into contact with hepatitis B. So I did all of these tests and I worked with multiple doctors, naturopaths, spent thousands on it, only to find out, well, only to figure out what it was. Me and my housemate were literally, and I'm gonna start getting ready now. I am the queen of unflattering angles. From this angle you get my double chin, which is coming in strong in my late 20s, and my shitty fake tan. I don't even know how it got there. Don't even know how it got there. So let's do just like a very simple makeup. I'm already wearing tinted SPF. It's the ultraviolet clean screen. So yeah, I was saying to my housemate when I was having a flare up, because I was feeling pretty good. I've been feeling pretty good I think this was in March, and I decided to have some friends round to do a Mexican night. After the Mexican night was so fun. The day after the Mexican night, bam, stomach flare up. And I was actually grateful of that stomach flare up, because to me, it was like I was doing so well, and then I had the Mexican night, and then I had the flare up, and I just thought, this is helpful because it's gotta be something that I had yesterday night. And I was thinking like, I had a flour tortilla, but I'm not gluten intolerant, I'm not celiac. Like I could eat a pizza, whole pizza from Domino's, won't have any flare-ups. Like, you know, like it's not adding up. The math ain't mathing. So I was thinking it's gotta be something that I had last night. This is the Huda Beauty Creamy Coal in Very Brown, if anyone gives a shit. So I was thinking, what did I have? And I had guacamole, which had lime juice in it. Tortillas, what are they called? Fajitas, which had tomato salsa in it. Lactose-free cheese that my friend brought. Nachos. And that was pretty much it. And me and my housemate, like, we're quite close, and she's really into health and fitness. She's a PT. We were like dissecting it as any good friends do. You dissect your problems. I'm so bad at curling my eyelashes. You dissect your problems, and one of my recurring problems, she's seen how much pain it's made me. She's seen how miserable this stomach condition has made me. Talking about it, and I was like, it just feels like my intestines are swollen. Like, it doesn't feel like I have a problem with the food. It feels like my intestines are swollen. Like my organs are swollen, not like not like the food is the problem, it's like the stomach is the problem. It's hard to explain. That's why I kind of was sure that I didn't have IBS, because I was just like, what, like, nah. I know IBS comes out of nowhere, but a lot of IBS symptoms are urgency, like having a lot of runny movements, which I don't have, and swinging between runny and constipation, and I don't have that either. And I forgot to say this, but I was also tested for Crohn's and internal bleeding, and I don't have that. I'm also not deficient in any vitamin or mineral, so I'm not absorbing my food. So I wasn't like, the doctors were basically just like, well, you don't have any of the like nasty stuff, so you should be happy about that. And I was like, of course I'm happy about that, but I'm still not living my life. Like, I'm still every 3 weeks having a flare-up that lasts 15 days and I can't go to the gym and I don't want to see my friends and I feel like shit and I can't think properly when I have a meeting. So I said to my housemate, I was like, it's like I've got gastritis, because anything with itis at the end, like, this is probably really creepy, but think about like tendinitis or colitis, gastritis, anything with itis at the end just means inflammation. Then I started Googling. I'd already Googled gastritis, but I didn't realise gastritis was like its own condition. I thought it was a result of another condition. So I just thought, yeah, I have gastritis, but I don't have, but what's causing my gastritis? And I started listening to this audiobook, free gastritis audiobook on Spotify, written by a guy who had the exact same experience as me. And he was just like, nobody could help me. It was ruining my life. And there were no like patterns with what was flaring me up, except there were, because I told you coffee, decaf coffee, specifically decaf coffee from a store, which is, I think, stronger. Even though it's decaf, it's still more potent than the coffee I was making at home. Orange juice and alcohol. And in this audiobook, the guy was like, gastritis is basically the irritation of your stomach lining. Obviously, when food goes into your stomach, what breaks down your food? It's not just your stomach, it's your stomach acid. So he was basically like, acidic things irritate your stomach lining. If you have gastritis, it's going to make it even worse. That means that because it's irritated, it's being a bit swollen. So I just felt like that sounds exactly like what I've got. So his recommendation was stop eating any foods that are acidic for like 3 months. Just on my mascara and my lashes. I think the only other thing I'm going to do is lip liner. My two faves at the moment, Sculpted by Amy. I received this from them and I put it on and I was like, that is amazing. I feel like as someone with quite pink lips, a lot of lip liners and lip products don't suit me. I actually have to be that YouTube girl now. I have no idea if this is in focus. It's like you twist it up, the shape of it is amazing, and then at the end, this is not an ad, it was gifted, is the lip gloss. Don't like the smell. It smells like Parma violets, which, Amy, that was a very divisive move. I might go for that, but I think what I'll go for instead is this one by e.l.f., which annoyingly doesn't have the shade on it, but I feel like it's a pretty good dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Medium 2. But yeah, I basically listened to this audiobook and the guy was like, to truly let your, I live on a building site, truly let your stomach lining heal. Obviously your stomach's not going to stop producing acid and you don't want it to, otherwise you're not going to digest your food and there's no way to stop it producing acid anyway. But he was like, just don't eat foods that are acidic because acidic things can irritate the stomach lining. So lemon, lime, both things I had in my Mexican night. Tomato, had that in my Mexican night. Apple cider vinegar, I was drinking that during my flare-ups trying to make my stomach better, which is probably why they lasted 10 days. Coffee, orange juice, alcohol, they all irritate the stomach lining. And obviously if you don't have gastritis and your stomach isn't chronically inflamed, you're going to be fine with these foods. But if you have chronic inflammation of the stomach, which I've had on and off for months, so therefore it's chronic, it's all just going to stop the stomach lining heal. Okay, it's time to choose a fit. I'm going to need to figure out some better lighting because my room is not a very light room and this is the only window. I think what I want to wear, I'm not sure, are these Adenola tracksuits. I literally got them in the post yesterday. They've got like a split here. We'll just have to see. God, YouTube lighting is so hard. Wow, my camera's just so wonky. They're quite low waist. They're quite like low rise. I got them because I'm going, well, because I need trousers, don't have any trousers, but I'm going to LA for a wedding and it's a long ass flight. And no, I don't fly business. Not that you think I would, but I just, personally, I see a lot of influencers and stuff like business and like, I'm sure they can afford it, but is it a good deal? I don't know. Like, if business class were like £800 and not £500 for economy, I mean, I guess everyone would do it then. But I just feel like I've never flown business. Maybe if I went on a trip or something and the brand were paying for it, maybe I would, but I haven't done that yet. But personally, I would not spend like £3 grand on a business flight because I'm a frugal gal. If you do see me doing that, it won't be paying for it. Except for a flight I've got coming up in Marbella where it's for a hen do and I had to use my Amex, pretty much all of my Amex Avios points to pay for it because I missed booking the normal slots. So there were only business flights to Spain left. And to be honest, Spain was not on my list of where to fly business first because it's a 2-hour flight and I think it's a waste of time to fly business for 2 hours, personally. I thought I would just try on this top that I got from ASOS. It's a bit see-through, isn't it? I don't particularly care about that. This is like £7 from Collusion, which I don't really like their Collusion range, to be honest, but I just thought the fit of this top was good. Can't really remember where I got to. One of the main things that was pissing me off about this stomach flare-up thing was the fact that, how to say this in a way that doesn't make me sound like a total bellend. I'm a relatively slim person, and I always have been, and I go to the gym multiple times a week when I can, and I'm not like dealing with this awful stomach thing. And it was annoying me because I was like, I wasn't looking forward to summer because in summer you have to be more exposed, and every day I had this huge bloated stomach. It just meant that I couldn't wear stuff that was in my wardrobe. So I was like thinking, when people say like, oh, do you prefer like summer or winter clothes, which people actually do talk about, like I'm not just making that up, I've talked about that with people lately, especially because I used to work in fashion, we would talk about it. And they were like, oh yeah, I prefer summer, and I was thinking like, no, I prefer winter, and then I was like, no, actually I don't prefer winter clothes, it's just, that's how that fits me right now. So like, I'm a relatively slim person, but you can't really picture it, but my stomach was like this big, and it just meant that I was like walking around like, oh, it felt awful. And I just couldn't wear clothes that are in my wardrobe because my stomach was just sticking out. And I remember at my old job, I wore a fleece every day in the summer. People started to like take the piss that I was wearing a fleece every day, and I had to pretend that I was just cold. I wasn't cold. I had this huge, massive bloated stomach, and I just felt really self-conscious of it. And there's nothing wrong with having a larger stomach, but like, especially when it's really uncomfortable and you don't know what's going on, like it can be quite frustrating. Either of these, I can't decide. Is the lighting criminal? Basically, I've stopped, for the last 3 weeks or so, I've stopped eating anything acidic. Before I eat a food, I Google whether it's acidic, and I don't mean, there's a lot of pseudoscience around like acidic and alkaline. I don't mean alkaline forming or acidic forming, I just mean acidic in regards to, is it going to irritate my stomach? Like if you put it on a cut or a wound, would it irritate it? So lemon, yes. Lime, yes. Orange juice, yes. Any kind of coffee, tomatoes, other stuff that I Google, and if it says it's predominantly acidic or if it just feels like it would be irritating on like a wound, I don't eat it, and I have never felt better. I haven't had any flare-ups. The other thing is, not only am I just not bloated, but I'm snatched. And I haven't felt this way in a long time, and for someone who works out a lot, and I track my macros, I eat a lot of protein, I should feel snatched because that's the plan that I'm on, and I haven't felt it in so long, and I feel amazing, and I've got a wedding coming up, like I said, in LA at the end of April this month. I'm looking forward to it because although I won't be able to drink, because I'm going to do this for 3 months, although I won't be able to drink, at least I know I'm not going to be standing wearing heels with a huge pregnant belly, wearing a slip dress and trying to suck my stomach in, because you know that feeling. I think it's normal to get bloated when you drink, but this was not normal. It was just, I just felt like I couldn't do anything fun. Like even that Mexican night with my friends, I was like looking forward to it, had a good time. Oh, you've been punished for having fun with your friends. And it just was stopping me from doing stuff. It was stopping me from wearing outfits that I want to wear, stopping me from seeing my friends, going to parties, enjoying parties, like everything. I told myself I was a hermit. I'm not a hermit, I was just ill. I don't know if this is like the be all and end all of this problem, but it really feels like it is, and I don't want to like jinx it by making this video, but I also do want to help people, and I am sorry if this wasn't the solution for you, but I think it would be the solution for a few people, and just the relief that I found is amazing. Like it's just night and day. Like I wasn't having good workouts even when I was feeling better. Now every workout I have is amazing. I mentally feel very like optimistic and like all the time. I feel like I can go shopping and enjoy it. I feel like I'm not worried when I go out to eat. Like, it was just a big black cloud hanging over me, and now it's just gone. And I'm here for it, because I've got a wedding coming up. I've already said that. I've got another wedding coming up because I am nearly 29. So it all starts kicking off now. And one of my best friend's weddings is in September. It's in Spain. I'm a bridesmaid, got a lot of responsibilities. I'm really looking forward to vlogging it, because it's like, I just know it's going to be so aesthetic and cool. I was just thinking about it before, being like, yeah, that's great, but am I going to feel like shit the whole time? Because that's my experience with weddings so far, is I feel like shit at a wedding. Not anymore. So yeah, it's just, even the fact that I can wear this outfit is just amazing to me, because I haven't felt this way in a really long time. So that is my update. I'll of course let you know if anything changes, but it's kind of a miracle, and it's been a long journey, and I just feel so happy that I have actually found a solution, and the solution was kind of right under my nose. So yeah, still new to YouTube, so if there's something else you want me to make, I will of course be making skincare content, but I'm also using YouTube to make the content that I don't really feel like people would be that interested in on TikTok or social or on Instagram. So just comment below if you want me to make videos on stuff. I'm planning on doing like PCOS, food, a lot of stuff, because I think on social it's hard to be as free as you can be on YouTube, and that's what I like about YouTube. So let me know what you want to see.